What is going on in the world? Literally. Shortages, assassinations, currency crisis, storming of palaces. We're in a crazy time. Brandon Gentili here. Sri Lankans storming the president's palace. Japanese prime minister getting assassinated. Bonds and inflation violently swinging. Crypto exchanges blowing up. Chinese citizens getting frozen out of bank accounts on bank runs. Credit cards, expenditures going through the roof, and consumer savings plummeting in the United States. Auto repossessions going up. Shortages and rumors of massive supply chain issues. Russia getting dollar reserves frozen. Gas prices, food prices, energy prices going through the roof. China and Russia going around the dollar. U.S. government squeezing small businesses. Administration not renewing oil leases, shutting down coal mines, further increasing prices. Inflation higher and higher. The newest print coming out today at 9.1%, a 41-year high. All because they want one world government aided by the central bank digital currency, as they just have unmasked themselves recently. We've known this for decades, but they're coming out and saying it right to your face. The liberal world order. It is the government one world order. This is Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum. This is Karl Marx reincarnated. They are hoping for the abolition of all private property. They own everything. They own you. They own your body. They own your brain. They own your thoughts. This is their words, not mine. Please take that and heed that warning. There's the Sri Lankans storming the palace. And you've seen the pictures. I couldn't totally verify some of these things, so I didn't share them. But them swimming in the president's pool and photos all over the place. So again, there wasn't a lot of great photos of it. But again, this is them storming the palace. This is centuries old, just life repeating over and over again as we continually destroy the currencies and transfer wealth to the elites by printing currency. This happens over and over again. We continue to not learn our lessons. This is done because the dollar, we've destroyed the currency. We had to raise interest rates, manipulate interest rates. So now it's squeezing everyone around the world that uses the dollar. So now it's like a variable rate, having the rates increase daily, really over the last couple of years, and now they can't afford food, shelter, water, energy, the basic necessities of life. Maslow's first level of Maslow's hierarchy, like we've talked about before in previous blogs and videos. About the importance of Maslow's hierarchy in yourself investing in those primary assets, the first layer of Maslow's hierarchy, because those are the most important things. So I believe most humans can sense something brewing in the world, sense a revolution brewing. It may not be a war or revolution between countries or classic civil war. It most likely be a war between ideologies, communist versus capitalist, free market versus Marxist, the globalist versus the individual, strong property rights advocates versus those who believe the state knows best. All the tightening from the Federal Reserve blowing up the world, like we just talked about, while others, like Japan and the European Central Bank, loosen monetary policy, makes you think they have the central bank digital currency ready so they can officially let the bottom fall out, because that is my theory. My theory is that they're waiting. The final shoe will drop, the bottom will fall out of this economy, and it will go into complete catastrophe when they have the central bank digital currencies ready. Because remember, they have to have everything ready for the transition. Where do people go? What happens? What's the answer for when the bottom drops out? And that's what they're waiting for. That's what they're working on in the background feverishly, like little ghouls in the background, just cooking up their stew, waiting for that to be done and finished. And the guys at the lab coat to come out and say, "We're done. We've got it." And then Jay Powell's going to give Janet Yellen. They're going to give the all green, the green light. Wave the flag. We're ready to go. Drop the Bombay doors, boys and girls. It's time to go. Does anyone else feel like that at all? This exact scenario is why many investors that are wealthy and have opined about the Federal Reserve and said that they are between a rock and a hard place. If the Fed raises rates and tightens policy too much, it will send the whole world, like we're seeing now, along with the United States, into severe recession and possibly depression. However, if they don't raise rates, then inflation is going to continue spiraling out of control, evidenced by the new consumer price inflation that we just mentioned at 9.1% today, which is another record, as I noted, 41-year high. Who's looking out for you? Bitcoin is 100 million people strong. It's its own country. It's larger than most countries. It's its own country of people with the same values. This is not going to be a war of classical kinetic standards. This is going to be, like we said, as Putin said, it's a war of ones and zeros, but this is a war of ideologies. Is it the rugged individual? Is it the individual that wins and freedom and property rights? Or is it the global statists who are going to own everything and you will have nothing, rent everything from them, and they're telling you you're going to be happy? What's going to win? What's going to prevail? And here's a question. Are you a countryman of someone because they were just born next door? Or are you a countryman of someone because they hold the same values? Because again, another theory of mine, we were seeing it in the sports leagues play out. People are going to be all over the world. I think we're going to have the nation states break apart in the coming decades and fracture into smaller units. But it could be Bitcoiners all together in one area. It could be people that believe in globalist ideologies in another area. They want to control everything, but I don't think that's going to happen. I believe that there's freedom seekers all over the world who are seeking a way out and are going to convalesce and build their own society. And who knows what that looks like. But again, those people, there's 100 million people that own Bitcoin and they have the same values generally, mainly along the lines of freedom. That is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger as more and more craziness happens and more people flee to safety, to Bitcoin. People used to come to America because they had similar ideas and values and sought freedom from oppression. Now, as we've gone down the road a few generations, people seemingly forgot the work and effort that goes into sustaining and maintaining that freedom. As evidenced by the population growing and the percentage of the population that directly fights in conflict or serves in the military to protect that freedom. As that percentage of population decreases that has skin in the game, the percentage of entitlement grows in the country, literally and figuratively. Coincidence? And here's the decline in the share of the U.S. population with military experience. As you can see over the last 50 years, 60 years, we've had a massive drop in military participation. So the less people, the less percentage, a lower percentage creates more entitlement, more of the, you didn't earn anything, literally, figuratively, and you're wanting more. So entitlement growing. And here we have some other charts proving these things. Again, these are, really, this is the charts saying this. This is not Brandon just, coming up with some concoction. These are the charts. And then we have gross federal debt since then. We had the wars that really kind of, blew it out of proportion here. Obviously, you can see this big spike in the 40s, in 30s and 40s. But then you have, since we took the central banks and blew the monetary standard wide open and on a dollar standard backed by nothing, 1970, you can see debt going through the roof. And then here we are, cumulative inflation going through the roof. The door is being blown off because of entitlements, because of the gimme culture, because of the I didn't work for anything, but I should be owed everything. That is what's killing and ailing our country. And there's all the communist quotes of Mao, Stalin, Lenin talking about the best way to destroy capitalism is debauching the currency, and et cetera, et cetera. An unbelievable book to read is The Capitalist Manifesto by Robert Kiyosaki that just came out. One of the most amazing books. I'm only a third of the way in, and it's remarkable. There's more quotes in that from communists and Marxists than I've ever seen in my life, all in one book. And it shows you the complete recipe for what they have built and the reality we are now living in, where we are not taught our enemies and what they're thinking. We're not taught what the people that are trying to destroy us. We have not been taught that. We've actually been taught that that's the good thing. And that's why we find ourselves so confused today in America. Freedom-loving people, not just in America, but freedom-loving people around the world are so confused and feel so alone because we are living in this world that is being taught that you are wrong, that 2 + 2 is 5. And it really comes down, like I said, no proof of work. Could be things that people paying less taxes, equaling less skin in the game and less freedom because they figure out it's easier to vote their way to wealth rather than work for it. And this is what the communists, they talked about, and the socialists all the time wrote about it. You have less skin in the game, you're not paying taxes, you don't care. There's no accountability, there's no responsibility. In the short term, reality can be suspended, as Ayn Rand points out. We can evade reality, but we cannot avoid the consequences of reality. It's such a frustrating time because we are living through times that were written about where the good actors wonder why it makes sense to go to work when they're just paying off the people who do nothing all day. This is when empires fall and have historically fallen. The breaking point. The Law by Frederick Bastiat. Does it feel like you are neutral and getting nowhere? Because that's I feel like many times throughout each day, I feel like that. And I was grinding away, spending time away from family and friends, doing work, helping people, and seemingly stuck in the mud a lot of times. Seemingly going nowhere. But those who do nothing are winning and sucking off of you. People blowing down the highway in $85,000 pickup trucks. And I'm here trying to have low time preference and think about the future and save the future and invest for the future. And yet people are just blowing by me in pickup trucks, seemingly like nothing's happening. Like they're the ones making billions of dollars, and I'm sitting here doing work. And we know, like stats, factually, many people are out of work, not doing work, not don't have any work they're doing. We see that in unemployment numbers. Yet again, half the cars going on the road are brand new trucks, $50, $80, $100,000 trucks. It blows me away. I can't explain it other than what we're talking about here. Entitlements and zombie companies are okay to exist. 20%, dang near 20% of Fortune 500 companies are zombie companies. They can't afford the interest on their debt. They cannot afford the interest on their debt. That is how backwards we are. Those companies should be gone. They should be gone. Forest fire, clean it out so good growth can come up. The good actors being squeezed. So how do we get ahead? By work or by plunder? This is Bastiat's. The Law is one of the most famous works. It's another incredible book that he wrote in the 1800s. Proof of stake for most, all the altcoins and the fiat currency system is built on plunder, taking from others. This is because many have realized that plunder is easier to take from the haves instead of doing the work. Here's Frederick Bastiat himself. Bastiat says we can only have it three ways. One, the plunder of many, the few plunder the many. Number one. Number two, everybody plunders everybody. Number three, nobody plunders anyone. And obviously, we want number three, which is why Bitcoin is great. Proof of work. You have to expend energy. You have to actually do the work. You have to actually do something. The fiat currencies we have, the dollar, there's nothing. It's just printed out of nowhere. There's no work. It's completely fake. It's artificial. It's nothing. It's not worth the paper it's printed on. It's artificial. There's no work needed to be done. It's easier to sit next to the money printer, the currency printer. It's easier to be buddies with a guy in DC. It's better to be a lobbyist and do nothing and do no work and enrich yourself. This is why the wealth gap continues to get larger and larger because of inflation. And we're going to talk about this more tomorrow on why Bastiat was controversial, and was then largely, and it still is to this day, and how Bitcoin solves many of these problems. And some unbelievable quotes you're going to see that really kind of lay the foundation for the problems we are having across the world and how to fix these things. And hence why many say Bitcoin fixes this, because of the sound monetary properties, the finite nature, the immutable, censorship-resistant, thermodynamically sound money that cannot be debased, that we know the goalposts can't move. That is the difference. That is why I talk about Bitcoin. That is why, is because it's a freedom play. Yes, could you get wealthy? Yes, of course you could get wealthy. There's a monetary incentive, but it's not about that. It's about the freedom. The freedom is the most important thing, because freedom, I know, freedom, if humans have the freedom, we will all be wealthier and more abundantly blessed if we have freedom. If we have regulation, red tape, government out of our hair. If plunder and deceit are gone, or largely gone. Humans are humans, they're going to do human things. But when you largely have that out of the system and you're not incentivized to plunder and deceit, you're going to have the 1% or the 2% that are plundering and deceiving and trying to do those things. But instead of 20, 40, 60% of the population plundering and taking from others, boy, what a different world we could have. Stay strong. Now more than ever. Get prepared, please. Being resilient and independent is the only way out of this. Removing yourself from the system at least as much as possible. Again, I appreciate you taking the time, spending the energy, doing the work, the proof of work, and studying, developing skills, running thought experiments. Appreciate that time and energy. It's the most important asset we have, so thank you. And if you like these blogs, the videos, please share them. Please like and subscribe. Please tell me what you don't like. Please dislike, so I know how we can get better and we can provide better value going forward. And again, we talked about pensions, why savers are losers, saving in this fiat currency, saving in this worthless currency, these worthless fiat currencies. These are some of our last videos and blog posts. You can go on and check over all the previous days how to measure your wealth, how to truly look at what's right. And this is why so many people are backwards and feeling left out, because we're not taught these things. We're not taught how to measure wealth. What is true wealth? Why savers are losers? Why people saving the dollar are losing? Most people don't know why. But when you start understanding why, we start righting the ship, then things make sense. Things come back into 2020 vision and into clarity. So Appreciate you. Please check out those other videos, those other blog posts. And again, let me know what you like, what you don't like, and we'll see you on the next one.